Hi everybody, Sandra from Thread and Crown Cosplay here, and welcome to part 3 of my Hornet Cosplay video series. If you haven't seen part 1 or 2, I highly suggest for you to watch them before you jump into this part. In this video, I'm going to be covering how I made Hornet's weapon, Needle, from the video game Hollow Knight and Silksong. And without further ado, let's get started! To make Needle, I started off by drafting a paper template of what I wanted the weapon's body to look like before I transferred it twice onto 8mm EVA foam, cutting it out and gluing both pieces together over a 4-foot long PVC pipe. For the eye, I cut several thin bands of 4mm EVA foam and formed a singular ring before enforcing it with a secondary layer and attaching it onto the PVC pipe. Once I was done constructing it, I thought about giving my prop the final paint coat, but after applying 3 layers of plastic dip and looking at it, I wasn't happy. Despite how I carefully took into consideration how I wanted Hornet to translate from video game to reality, I didn't give Needle the same care. So deciding to give my prop the attention it deserves, I took a page out of Hollow Knight and gave it an upgrade that would suit our Princess Knight. And what better way to do that than make a woven overlay? With a newfound determination to make my thoughts a reality, I made another paper template that I transferred twice onto long lanes of taped 2mm craft foam. After I set the 2 new base pieces aside, I drew a simple design onto my paper pattern that resembled the Hollow Knight's nail in its pure form before cutting the template into several pieces and transferring it onto 2mm craft foam. While I was doing this step, I decided to number each piece so I knew where to start and added an additional seam or 2 for extra security. After I drew all 52 little segments, I cut each piece out and glued them onto the bases, starting from the bottom and working my way up to the top. With the top layers complete, I used my Dremel tool and applied battle damage onto some of the panels before going outside and applying 3 layers of black plastic dip. Once the 2 panels were completely dried, I carefully glued them onto Needle's base and smoothed out the edges with a thin layer of quick seal adhesive chalk. To make the top edge smooth, it was a trial and error of a paper template over the prop, and once I got the correct shape, I cut it out of 2mm craft foam, glued it on, and smoothed out the rough edges with some more quick seal adhesive chalk. Since I wanted the eye of Needle to be just as fancy as its body, I quickly measured out the circumference of the eyelet's bottom and made a quick petal template that I transferred 5 times onto 2mm craft foam and carefully glued it on before applying a thin band to hide the raw edges of the petals. With Needle fully constructed and much happier with the results, I applied 3 more layers of plastic dip a final time over the prop and set it out to dry. For the paint job, I started off by using Folk Arts metallic paint in silver sterling and applied 3 coats of it, making sure to wait for each coat to completely dry before adding another one. Then with Deco Arts Americana acrylic paint and graphite, I painted a small amount of it into the crevices of Needle's overlapping panels, and to smooth out the paint, I used a little bit of water and blended it in. If the paint got too dark, I used a paper towel and wiped most of it off before reapplying again. Once those layers were completely dry, I brought out the edges of Needle by using Golden's iridescent pearl fine acrylic paint on a thin brush. And just for fun, this is a comparison of what Needle looked like prior to the detail paint job and after it got its detail paint job. It may not be perfect, but it makes a huge difference. And the final step that I did for Needle was that I braided on a long length of metallic golden cord through the eye. And with everything done, despite the fact that it took longer than I wanted to build Needle, I'm very proud of the way it turned out, as I have learned new tips and tricks on how to build a prop that contained a PVC pipe and had closed edges. If there was something that I can change about it, it would be the width, since it's supposed to be a thin weapon instead of a bulky one. But hey, if you don't make mistakes, you never learn, right? Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you want to see more content like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!